Hi, welcome to the first week of our Ezra series. And this week, man, we're really gonna be looking at some history for the nation of Israel and just kind of the timeline through the book of Ezra. This week's small group lesson is gonna be a little bit different than normal. It's gonna require some participation. So I just hope that you guys are really willing to have some fun with this and to learn about the history of Israel and some key dates in their history, as well as just kind of the timeline of how things line up with the book of Ezra. And it's going to be important for us as we begin to dig into the book of Ezra over the next 6 weeks, just to know the timeline and know how things are lining up and what's going on where, because there are some interruptions along the way that go along, and some points where the timeline just kind of breaks. And it's going to be just real important. So we want to look at that. We also, this week's small group lesson, will look at the cycle that Ezra and Nehemiah represent together. In the Hebrew scriptures, the Tanakh, the books of Ezra and Nehemiah are actually one book. They're not two separate books, but it's actually just one book that they put together. And so it's important for us to read it that way at times to see what was going on in the flow of thought. And what I've pointed out in the small group lesson is it actually represents a cycle that we'll take a look at. But as we dig into the book of Ezra, the main just overarching theme of the book of Ezra is a people returning to worship their God. And I think as a couple weeks ago we looked at our measures in our vision frame, and one of those measures is that we want to become a worshiper. And so it's going to be important this week as we really just kind of look at the history and see how the people were returning and what they were doing to worship their God. It's going to be a recurring theme throughout the book of Ezra is how they were being worshipers and how that affects the way that we become worshipers. Hope you enjoy the study this week and really have some fun with your small group. And we'll see you next week as we dig into the first 2 chapters of the book of Ezra.